Welcome in, everybody. It is time for another episode of Three Guys Before the Game. This is our sold-out edition, episode number 425. There's only two of the three guys. As Hoppy said at the end of our last episode, he is on the road this week, and so it's two. But I guess our producer, Taylor Kennedy, now he would count as a third dude.
Or the texter's kind of the third guy before the game.
Yeah.
Non-gender there with guy.
Yeah, people.
Because we have some female listeners.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what it is.
Which, by the way, get to it later. Ran into a very nice female listener over the weekend. We'll talk about later.
She think we were idiots?
No, in fact, you want me to tell the story now before we do it?
She said we weren't idiots.
She stopped. I was at the WVU game, UAB game, walking by, and someone says, Brad? I turned and said, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Said, it was very nice, Crystal from Morgantown. She said, I listened to your, I thought she was going to drill me. Because she said, I listened to your podcast, but, and got a big butt. She said, but, I braced myself. She said, I don't think you guys are idiots. It was very nice.
Yeah. We're starting to turn that a little bit. It was a lot of idiot feelings toward us, I'd say 12, 18 months ago. I think it's starting to swing just a little bit.
I don't know if it swung, but thank you, Crystal. It's at least swung in Crystal's eyes.
Good to see you,
She does
Crystal.
not think we're idiots.
Absolutely. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. Two T's just living next to each other. BURDETTE camping.com. And as I said, the only dealership in the state of West Virginia, when you buy an RV from them, the warranty lasts forever, which is a considerably long time. Three Guys also brought to us by Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. They do so many things. They do the hardware side of things for businesses, whatever that equipment is that offices need, i.e. printers, etc. But what they also do is they provide and offer managed IT services for your business. So they'll take care of all of your computer stuff. Hardware, software in your computers. Are you safe? Is your data at risk? All of that. They'll come in, do a free accounting of that, and then you'll know one way or the other if you're safe. They'll manage your IT, 24/7 remote monitoring. The peace of mind we all want. And also, they'll also do that with your phone. Managing your voice and phone services. Check them out. 10-time winner of the Elite Dealer by ENX Magazine, and no other dealer in the state of West Virginia has ever won the award once. They've won it 10 times. So Comax Business Systems. We're calling Comax. Senator and I are calling Comax this week. In fact, we're going to call them today. We are. We need some stuff. we need some stuff. So we're going to them. Why wouldn't we go to them? All right, episode, here's what we're doing. We're talking about Mountaineer basketball. It was really super weird. Saturday, 6 o'clock, ball goes up into the air for the Mountaineers and the Blazers of UAB. Ball goes up into the air. And before the ball got touched on the opening tip, you knew it was a different game. Like it was a 180 from the previous games that had been played at the Coliseum to this point in the season. Like there was no resemblance of the Navy game with the UAB game when that ball went up in the air. It was like it went from tip to 207 miles an hour. And I went like, whoa. I mean, it just went like, and from a play-by-play standpoint, normally it's like the game starts, tip controlled by, tip control. Here's Brad Howe, brings it up over midcourt, sends the ball over to the right side wing, now back up top between the circles to Howe. This one went like, my man gets it.
Gaines
gets it, and he just goes, do you think I'll just take it straight to the rim and tomahawk dunk it? Yeah. And went like, whoa. Here we go.
We talked about their pace last week. They were 7th nationally coming in pace. They got after the pace early. They were physical early.
Yep.
But you could tell from the crowd. I mean, that was a great crowd. It was all the way to the top of the rafters.
Terrific.
I was going to say, I didn't need till tip. I could tell when I came across the Star City Bridge and hit the brake lights there that it was going to be a big night.
Early arriving crowd.
Very early arriving.
Yeah.
I came across about 4:45 and sat in traffic there for a half hour.
Very early arriving. So we're going to talk about the game. We're also going to talk about our event, the January the 6th release of Hoppy Kerchev-ALE. We've been talking about it for several weeks. And the tickets did go on sale this morning. We're recording Monday afternoon. Tickets went on sale this morning at 9 a.m. And we said this from the beginning, that this is a couple of different things. One, it's a proof of concept to see if such an event will work going forward. We had no idea if we were going to sell one, if we were going to sell all 50. And we want to learn from this event. So we learned that there is incredible interest in this, and all 50 were gone in a matter of minutes. Some people say 8 minutes, some people say 33, 15, but by like 9:30, they were all gone. And so that's awesome. And so congratulations to the 50 people who got their tickets, and we'll talk more about that coming up later on in the show. And for those that did not, hang in there. As I said, proof of concept. We want to see if there was any interest. Trust me, I told him either last night or this morning before they went on sale, I feel like the third grader that like says, we're going to have a birthday party, and then no one shows up to my party. You know, I had that feeling. You have no idea once they go on sale. I mean, you talk about it and people say, yeah, I'm interested. But like, was it going to be 1 ticket, 10 tickets? Was it going to be all 50? I didn't know. Truly don't know. That's the fun, I guess, of doing this kind of stuff. You don't know. So for those that did not, there's a very strong chance that eventually, you know, we'll do more of these. We just want to get a feel, and we'll find out more what you guys like. And from that, we'll try to craft some more of these events, whether they're here or then eventually, obviously, we're going to try to hit other pockets in the state and do these things. But for now, for the first 50, congratulations. And we've got some numbers on where those folks are coming from, and we'll share those a little bit later on. Also, transfer portal news.
Big news.
Yes. And I said before this started, I said this. Don't get too excited and don't get too despondent over who comes and goes, because it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And Kaden Prather has placed his name into the transfer portal at receiver. And so in this new world that we're living in, you know what that means? Now West Virginia needs to go out and get another receiver or a couple more receivers. Plain and simple. That's it. You lose one and you go get. That's all it is. That's this world. You know, last night I was looking at the basketball stats. The top 4 scorers on this basketball team were not on the team last year. 5 of the top 7 scorers on this team were not on the team last year. Okay? So what's that say? You go get players.
Well, we've been saying since the portal began, there's never been more talent available than there is right now. That's the flip side of the, oh my gosh, everybody's leaving. Now, that said, I think we all agree you would have rather had Prather there because at least it gave you somebody returning that you'd seen. Taylor put these numbers together for us before the show. With Prather now out, assuming it stays static from this point forward with this receiving group, that would mean 70% of your total receptions from last year, gone. 78% of your total receiving yards from last year, gone. 85% of your total receiving touchdowns, gone. So I think what it does, this moves it from, I'll have to sit and digest this a little bit, but it moves receiver from what was going to be a position of need. You were going to have to go get into the portal to, it might have pushed it to the number 1 spot, if not the number 2, depending on where you rate defensive backs and defensive guys. You need some receivers now, and you need a couple to hit, and then hope Braham and Aaron come back and can show some of that promise, but do it more consistently, and then get a Rodney Gallagher or another freshman to step forth and have a pretty good complementary role season.
And if you're West Virginia and you're on the market today selling this, you're going to kids that are in the portal, highly sought after kids in the portal that are going to say, hey, like you don't even have to pretend that you're not going to be the lead pony. You can say, do you want to come and be our number 1 wideout? Do you want to come and be our number one slot? Do you want that job? It's available and it's over. Like green light. Krispy Kreme donuts, you just put the light,
right when they come out.
Right when they come out. Like West Virginia football needs to put that light at the top of the push car center. Like green light says, currently taking wide receivers to start. Who wants it? It's what it is.
Yeah. You need guys. Now the challenge will be, what's the quarterback situation going to be?
Sure.
That's part of the pitch. If I'm a receiver and I'm leaving Alabama because I didn't get enough touches, I'm saying, what's your quarterback situation? Who's your quarterback going to be? Is it going to be Green? Is it going to be Nico? Is it going to be somebody from the portal? So that leaves it a little bit unsettled that you don't have a predetermined returning quarterback that had put up good numbers, but it's incumbent upon this staff to figure it out. You're going to have to go get a couple of bona fide guys that have played to mix in with this group.
College football has become almost like baseball winter meetings, right? Guys just get together and they just go like, okay, it's time to go buy. Time to go get players.
Yeah,
all those transactions last week, same difference.
Listen, it's always been recruiting. That's always been the answer to all of this. It's a different kind of recruiting now, and the urgency is cranked up. It used to be you were hoping to go out and mine through these high school guys and hope you landed on a couple hits that you could develop up. Now there's not the developmental time. Now it's the urgency is, okay, you don't have any returning production at receiver. You better go find a couple, and you've got to get it right now. You can't wait for a couple of these talented freshmen that you hope to sign here in a couple weeks to grow up. You've got to go get some guys that you plug in right now. So it's still about getting players. It's still about how good of players can you go get. It's just you've got to do it more quickly than you've ever had to before.
Yep, absolutely. So that remains to be seen. What are we, 9 days away from the letter of intent signing period? So there's going to be a ton of stuff going on. You saw, if you follow social media, you saw all the pictures last week with the Mountaineer staff out on the road and pictures with prospective recruits. And so now they're just putting all the pieces together. Kind of like the chef that's going out, wants to cook up a big recipe. He's out getting the ingredients. You got to go get the ingredients. You got to get them all locked in. Off-season conditioning, January, February, on the field in March, spring ball. Here we go. What do you got?
And we've been talking about the absurd number of guys that are in there to back up the point that there's a ton of receivers out there. There's a ton of people out there. You've got to go get them and lock them in. Now it's just about having success on the recruiting trail.
Yep.
Go sell it.
Yep. All right, back to basketball. Final numbers. 81-70. West Virginia wins by 11. West Virginia was up by 9 at halftime. So as we said, the game had great electricity. The official announced attendance was 12,182, 12,182. So that's as close as a league game that West Virginia will have before league play starts, right? That's as close as you're going to get that vibe and that feel. How did they respond with that? They responded well. You had 4 players finish in double figures. You had 6 players finish with 8 or more points. It was good because West Virginia did have the 9-point lead at halftime, led by as many as 11 early on in the second half in the first 2 minutes, then saw that lead evaporate. Now they're down 2 with 14 and change to go. And now you find out who you really are. And they banged it. They made 8 straight or 6 straight off the top of my head. I knew it was 6. It might have been 8 in a row on this run that they went on and pulled it back out. That's huge. Another thing that's really huge is that your leading scorer on this team, Eric Stevenson, player coach, did not have his typical game. He had been averaging 14 plus. He'd been leading them, and they did a job on him. He only made 1 bucket. He went 1 of 4 from the field and finished up with 8 points. His points came 6 of 7 at the foul line. That's 2. That's good to see that you can win without him. Third thing, and Brad's going to get into, we told you in our last episode about what are the main metrics of this game. We can get into it right now. You had me worried. You had me worried because the culprit for West Virginia's loss at Xavier was that Xavier had great success throughout the season of getting to the free throw line, and they did. And they beat West Virginia exactly at the free throw line in Cincinnati. This game, UAB was where nationally in getting to the line?
They were in the 93rd percentile in terms of made, but they were 95th in terms of getting to the line.
So they
free
get the
throw
line.
attempts per game, 95th percentile, one of the best in the country.
How'd that work?
West Virginia turned the tables on them. West Virginia went plus 11 points at the free throw line after shooting 88%. That's a double part there. They got to the line and then made those shots when they were there. So plus 11 points at the free throw line for West Virginia, which is key. Flip the tables on them. So the whistle, that was a physical game too. We'll get into some other points that just came out of this. That was a good physical Big 12 type of game for West Virginia. They handled it really well, but getting plus 11 points at the line was a massive key.
Yeah. And the three officials working the game are Big 12 reps. That's a Big 12 crew. Jerry Pollard, who we see a ton, and Kelly Self and Chance Moore. We see all those guys in Big 12 play. So that's good because that's how they called it. And for those of you out there that says West Virginia always gets the short end of the whistle, UAB had 23 fouls. West Virginia had 21 fouls. However, it was the most in-game navigation that Huggs and staff had to do due to fouls at the center spot.
Juggling-wise.
Like the game, It seemed as though the game started and like 90 seconds into the game, Wagi, Okonkwo, and Jimmy Bell all had 4 fouls.
Yeah, they each fouled out before tip. That was a heck of a juggling act there with guys.
It was. So that's good too because you're going to be into those situations. And they were able to get through that whole game with no one fouling out except Wagi. He did go. I just saw that. He did follow up. That was late. But Jimmy Bell finished with 4, and Okonkwo finished up with 1. But that was good in preseason, so to speak, pre-conference play of, okay, if this happens, how many times in football do we say, well, if you lose that corner, then we're going to take the safety and we're going to move them over here. And that was this. That was like, okay, now what do we do? And they have bigs that can score at UAB.
So a couple things on that, then I want to dive into 2 more keys that West Virginia did a great job with. So I thought Jimmy Bell, even though he just had 4 points, he was massive, literally and figuratively in that game. Also had 8 rebounds. Here's where he was big. That's the second time. How many games has West Virginia played? 11?
That
10?
Was West Virginia's 10th.
So in those 10 games, there have been 2 dramatic examples where his size has been a huge benefit. You didn't get the win against Purdue, but he made Zach Edey flustered. This was another game where his size was just massive. Again, no pun intended for this group because they had guys that were big-bodied and you couldn't move Jimmy Bell out of the way. When he was in, it was a difference in the paint. You saw Okonkwo come in, and I thought he got some good minutes in a high-profile game that mattered that'll help him in Big 12 play, but you saw the difference in size. When he came in, they immediately cleared, put their butts on him, and backed him straight down into the post, and he just had a struggle from a size standpoint of trying to hold them out. Now, he did have that great block on the other end, so he does some things athletically that are a little different than Jimmy Bell, but size-wise, I thought Bell was just a tremendous advantage for West Virginia.
The thing we have to remember about Okonkwo is his youth. Now, it's kind of a running joke here. Like, Okonkwo's been here for like 2 or 3 years in the United States, but he's been 17 since he arrived. Like, you go, how old's Jimmy now? 17, but he's been here 3 years. Yeah, it's still 17. But that's my point is he's like, literally, he still may be, I don't know if he's 19 yet. He came really super early. So he's a baby. You look at his body.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a former tennis player. He still has a tennis player-esque length and body to him. I looked at him the other day. He was checking and he was putting the rosin on, standing right in front of me in game. And I looked up at him and I went like, man, is there so much more growth that you're going to have in the next 2 years plus, right? He's going to get big. You look at Jimmy Bell. Jimmy Bell is a grown man.
And you can't move him.
And you can't move him.
And you saw that Saturday. I thought that was very evident that it was a totally different game plan from UAB when Bell was in versus Bell was out.
Yeah, Huggs was either a savant or crazy when he made the move for Jimmy Bell to get him, right? Like Huggs savant because he's looking at him, watching him play in junior college national champion tournament last year, and he's going like, I think he could be really good. He was 360 pounds. Mm-hmm. He was 360 pounds. So you talk about taking a chance. Did Huggs know at that time he was going to lose 80 pounds? No, you hoped, but that could, like if he didn't lose 80 pounds and he's walking around out there right now at 345, he's not playing like that. He looks good. And so to his credit, to Huggs' credit on this, the guy's been becoming a problem. 8 points, 8 rebounds, and 21 minutes. That's really significant. Really significant.
And again, defensively, I thought he was even better than those offensive numbers indicate. All right, let's go to the second piece of this. The other part we talked about was you had to make them pay for going at the pace they wanted to go at. They were a top 10 team in terms of getting up and down the floor. You referenced that early, and you saw that right away. They were getting up and down the floor. They weren't afraid to pull the trigger quickly. Jelly Walker got heated up in the second half, but man, did he take some quick shots. They get him the ball, and you're closing out on him. If you're not right on him,
you could see why he scores so much.
Oh, my gosh, and in bunches and in a hurry.
Yep.
So if you're West Virginia, you had to make them pay for wanting to go fast because how do you make them pay? Turnovers and points off turnovers. Ready for this? UAB's turnover percentage was 10% higher in this game than it had been in the previous 5. So West Virginia turned them over more. West Virginia's points off turnovers in this game were in the 91st percentile. So they made them pay for wanting to go fast, created more turnovers, got points off that. And here's the third piece we talked about on Friday. You had to limit them on the glass. And boy, did they get after the offensive glass. Ooh, they were crashing hard. They came in 19th nationally in offensive rebounding percentage, going against West Virginia that was 179th in defensive rebounding percentage. So on paper, huge edge to UAB. Well, UAB was good on the glass, but they were well below where they normally are. They were in just the 63rd percentile for offensive rebounding percentage in this game. Normally, they're top 10. They're 92nd on the season. Here's the other key component. The Blazers only shot 30% from the field on their second shot attempts. So they got a bunch of boards. They couldn't finish on the second shot.
Right.
That was massive. The offensive rebounds they did get didn't kill you like they would have had they shot a better percentage. So good job, West Virginia. On all 3 of the keys from Friday, West Virginia came through with all 3. That's why you get a double-digit win.
We talk oftentimes in sports what decides games. Mistakes decide games. In any sport, it's a mistake. It's turnovers. It's miscues more so than pluses that you make. So just a couple of numbers. So West Virginia wins the game by 11. They outscored UAB off of turnovers by 12, 25-13. And as we mentioned earlier on, they outscored UAB at the foul line by 11, the margin of victory, 22-11. So it's mistakes and taking advantage of those mistakes. I want to give a shout-out to a bunch of different guys on this list. Emmett Matthews, I thought, played a wonderful game.
Agree.
16 and 9. I'm so bummed out for him. I wanted him to get in one more rebound. Can they do that like
retroactively go back?
Well, they go back now and say, hey, we reviewed the tape, and actually he should have been credited on they did that with the foul late in the game.
Which was big.
Yeah, it was. They both fouled. It looked as though maybe Emmett had fouled first. And so
which you needed it to be Emmett because Jimmy Bell would have fouled out, I think, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Jimmy would have had his day done. So why can't you do that with a rebound? Like there at least once they both went up together. They give him one more.
Easier to find an extra tackle within a game. It's sometimes hard to get a rebound. Those guys are usually on it. Real quick on Emmett, because I have a note here about Emmett to talk about as well, and your numbers were there. Him hitting the 3, his jump shot's so much better than when he was here the first time. He really worked on that while he was gone. The other part with him, I'm going to keep saying this, he just looks different on the floor in terms of the way he carries himself. There's more confidence. It's like we've talked about the TBT guys coming back. That's what he feels like. Because he also, you know what he did too? He brought the ball up the floor a bunch too.
Yes, he did.
He was one of the 2 guys in the backcourt throwing it back, getting it up the floor. The ability to do a bunch of different things, that's what Emmett's giving you right now.
Totally agreed. So shout out to him. The highest plus-minus for a Mountaineer in that game was Trey Mitchell, plus 16. He gets you 13 points and 7 boards, 5 assists.
Ding, 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 ding.
5 assists and 4 steal, or in 5 assists. He did 4 turnovers and a steal.
He's a very underrated passer.
Yes.
He will.
Willing passer.
Willing and can is very good. By the way, just a little side note, if you check a game out, a lot of times they have him at 1.5 for his assist prop. That's been an easy cash, I think. 1.5. But anyway, 5, I wrote, as good as he was scoring, shooting that mid-range, hitting a 3 when he can, the assist, he's a very good passer.
How about this one? Kedrian Johnson. He's totally flipped where he was a year ago. I mean, his assist to turnover was bad a year ago. It was almost 1-to-1. And he goes out there. He finished plus 15 on Saturday. 17 points, 1 digit away from his career high when he had it against Arkansas. a year ago. 5 of 10 from the field, 7 of 7 at the foul line. He did turn the ball over 4 times, but you know what else he did? He forced Jelly Walker into 7 turnovers for the second consecutive year. Now, I know Toussaint guarded him some as well, and I want to talk about Joe in a second. But Kaden Johnson, his offense, and he was 4th leading scorer in the country in junior college, but was never asked to score when he got here. So it's not a total stunning surprise, but it's really good to see. I mean, really, really good that he came back.
You talk about a guy that's a great example of why you can't just write guys off that don't perform right away. A guy that's gotten used to this system, gotten used to what his role is supposed to be, and he's blossomed. I think now you're seeing some of that scoring ability that he had in junior college that you just didn't see last year. The other note I made about him, I was sitting with a guy at the game. We kept talking about this in the first half.
Friend of yours, or you just started talking to someone?
The first guy was a friend of mine. The other guy we just started talking. 32 minutes he gave you of hard minutes. Guarding Jelly Walker, you just mentioned, and yes, Toussaint got some of that. Let's talk about Toussaint in a second. But Kedrian doing a great job on him, especially early. Well, Jelly Walker didn't do a whole lot in that first half, and Kedrian Johnson was on him the bulk of that first half while bringing the ball up the floor against pressure defense and aggressive defense while scoring in the first half. I thought he was fantastic, particularly in the first half.
Yeah. Now let's do Toussaint. The transfer from the University of Iowa, 26 minutes in the game. Goes 5 out of 12 from the field, 4 of 4 at the foul line, finishes with 14 points, had an assist and 3 steals. I just think in the intangible category of that game, he was 5-star. Just my perception and thoughts of him in that game were he was either on the floor, swiping the ball away, knocking balls away. His deflection total must have been crazy in the game. I need to find that one out. But he is like, he's a dog. You know how we always talk about dogs? It's D-A-W-G, not D-O-G, but D-A-W-G. And football guys use that term a lot. I need dogs. I need dogs. He's a dog. He will back down from absolutely no one. Kedrian Johnson is a dog. He will back down from no one. Stick your face right in the middle of the furnace. Don't care? We have not had that. They have that. And as written, Eric Stevenson is a dog. Now you're tougher.
Mm-hmm.
And we had not been, we had lost our toughness.
Mm-hmm. Agree with that.
Which was a total 180 from where we had been in Press, Virginia, right? We were tough. Then we got soft. Now you're tough again. That's how you have to play and win.
Totally agree on Toussaint. What he gave you Saturday, I thought was not only the numbers you just read off, but I mentioned that first half with Kedrian. I thought he was just fantastic. Second half, Jelly Walker had to be thinking, okay, sweet, Kedrian Johnson's off me now. Now I can get heated up a little bit, which he did. He got going in the second half, hit some shots. But then he had to look up and go, you got to be kidding me with this guy. With Toussaint all up in his grill. The ability to have both of those guys, so you're basically sending waves at the nation's leading scorer, which not only affected him in his shots, but wore him down. You could tell that was a hard game for Jelly Walker, right? He had to grind.
That's a great point.
He had to grind through that game, and that shows up in missed shots later. So the Toussaint offense you're getting, I think, is an extra bonus. He wasn't asked to do that at Iowa. They had the nation's leading scorer. He was a distributor when he came in. He's shown you he can score. So Johnson gave you a lot of first half scoring. Toussaint comes in and gives you the second half scoring and defense. Those were great complementary pieces.
Speaking of Iowa, did they play yesterday? Did their coach lose his temper?
I only saw a quick clip of that. Fran McCaffrey did lose his mind. I mean, that happens occasionally.
Boy, I tell you what, that is quite enjoyable when he does. It's quite enjoyable when he loses his mind, man. It's funny. If you look at that close when they were walking him back to the sideline, does he have a son that's helping him now?
Well, he's got 2 sons playing.
They're still playing? Like how many, what, 9 years or what?
There's a bunch. It's either the Murray kids, so Keegan led the league or the nation in scoring last year. Chris, his brother, is filling it up this year. So you have the Murrays or McCaffreys. I think those are the only guys on their roster. You're either Murray or McCaffrey, I think.
Well, it was interesting. I thought it was his son. There's a younger guy on staff. And when they were walking him back, like I thought, well, this has got to be his kid because no one will talk to the coach like that. It was kind of like just, get back. Like that's, it must be like, Dad, right? I don't know. Maybe a cousin, relative. I'm not sure exactly who these people are. But I thought that was pretty wild. Okay, so now you've got this elongated break for the world champion Mountaineers. They resume action on Sunday against the University of Buffalo. The very unusual 5 p.m. tip, Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m. tip. And why are they off this week? Final exam time. When finals, well, it's the new world of final exams. The new world of final exams is you take final exams, but you don't necessarily have to go anywhere to take the final exams online. You know that? They
Yes.
take these finals online. I mean, I remember I look back at the old days of final exams. I mean, final exams used to be just a mental and physical, just absolute drain. Like you would, if you really were a good student when it came to finals, when you go home for Christmas, your skin is like really super pale and like you look like hell and like your body's just like, you look like, whoa, what the heck was that? Because you haven't slept, you haven't eaten well, and you're a mess. Those were the good days of final exams. It'd take you like 3 to 5 days to recover. These kids now, I got to go to my bedroom and take my final.
Well, so you're talking like your old guy walking through the snow to get to class.
Yeah,
You
I
think they're
did.
soft now with finals? You don't think they can
They
grind through
take them
finals?
online. Like I talked to a couple of student athletes the other day, and I said, so how many finals do you have? Well, I've got 4, but 3 are online. I said, so you just like stay at your house? Yeah.
Well, that's your fault. You took archery or fencing or whatever the hell you were taking. You can't take that online. You had to show up and fence somebody. Probably up all night working on your technique and your push and pull, right? Deep in the night. Did you have somebody there you could spar with at 4 a.m. there in the dorm?
I didn't need to. I won that championship. Beat Gordy Langdon in the finals.
So you got out of the final?
I
That's
told
one
you
of those
that-
deals like if you have a good enough grade at the end of the regular season, you get out of the final exam?
No, I beat him in the finals. I tell you what I did, right? He came back. He came at me hard. I mean, charged at me. So I'm backing back. I told you what I did. I rope-a-doped him. I did the Ali shuffle. I went all the way back to the end of the thing, and I just went Ali shuffle, and I went corked.
Did you get like extra credit points for that, or just was that a results-based grade?
It was pass-fail.
Yeah.
It was pass-fail. Gordy.
By the way, real quick note, we'll talk more about Buffalo in the next episode. They come in fairly tested. They've played a really difficult schedule. Did you go down their schedule yet? So top 100 teams they've played in the KenPom, top 100 KenPom. James Madison at 76, UConn, which is number 1, Drake, which is 91st, should be a tournament team. George Mason's 131, St. Bonnie 127, Tulane at 86, and then they're playing West Virginia that sits at 23. So they'll come in tested.
What is their record?
It's 5-5, so the record doesn't look as good as you may think, but some of that's because, again, I don't know where their strength of schedule is. We'll get into that, but that's got to be in the top 10 or 15 in the country at least.
We got a West Virginia connection there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on the staff.
Yep, we'll get into that Thursday.
You don't want to bring that
I don't
out
want to
yet.
blow the whole preview episode.
I understand.
Yes.
No, I get it. I totally get it.
Right.
Let me ask you this. One more basketball note. Whenever that day comes, is Andy Kennedy a candidate for the WVU job?
Good question. We'll have to see. He's done a nice job with that program.
They're going to probably win that league. He's won
Again,
22.
they won it last year, too.
Yeah, he's won 22 years in a row there.
He's done a nice job there, and it's interesting from a style of play that I told you that looked very West Virginia-esque. Style, toughness, pressure, hit the glass. I mean, I think he's certainly on the list. Yeah, he's certainly on the list. Now he's a UAB alum, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah,
played for Gene Bartow, second all-time leading scorer in school. I mean, he played second all-time leading scorer.
Yeah,
I think he went NC State first, then transferred way before the portal was a thing, but he did.
Played for the legendary Gene Bartow, did you say?
Did. Yeah. Gene, not Maury.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Gene's always the answer to a trivia question, right? He's the guy that replaced John Wooden.
Mm-hmm.
And you never want to be the guy after the guy.
Yeah, because he won a ton of games. Was a great coach.
Yeah.
But that's a tough gig.
You don't win national championships after you replace John Wooden. It's kind of like, what are you doing? So, you ready to do some other things?
Sure.
Let's do some other things. Hit it. Contextual healing portion of the segment. My shirt matches the graphic. Just notice that. Put the graphic back on there, Taylor. Thank you. See that?
It really does.
I'm having chair issues.
Although I clearly having chair issues over there. Although I will say this. I say this every time you wear that shirt. It's not as representative on the screen as it is in real life. It's clearly gold in real life.
Yeah, well,
it does give a little orange tint there if you're watching
really?
on the screen. Yeah, I think so.
No.
You don't think?
Phil doesn't sell orange clothes.
That's what I'm saying. It's not orange. It's gold. It's clearly gold.
Yeah. Well.
Are you okay?
No,
You want to switch seats for a minute?
This studio is not made for what we need it for. We need a new studio.
Well, this is pretty new. I don't think there's a new studio coming.
But look, the
What's
orientation.
the problem?
Hey Taylor, take the wide shot. Can you pull that back a little bit? So this studio, this set is designed. Thank you. This set is designed to be a news anchor. So you're supposed to like sit here straight into the camera and go da 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 da. Well, guess what? 90%, 98% of the show is this. You're fine but like I have to do this. So
Well, what's the problem with that? I don't understand why that's a big deal. I mean, you just spun like a couple degrees and talk. Why is it causing issues?
I don't think it's made. I think we should have had a circular table.
That very well may be. We're 5 years into the thing. I don't know why all of a sudden today on December 12th you're having such issues.
Because I keep bouncing my chair up and down. I'm sitting here like.
Sounds like a you problem.
It is a my problem. That's a first world problem. They literally had to get a crane to bring this set in. This set will be here long after we're gone. Mason from Morgantown, in response to a quote from Hoppy on the last show, he said, "I don't know why people think they have a right to park at Burger King to go to a WVU event."
Hoppy said that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Texter replies, nobody ever said it was their right to park there. We aren't trying to bring Burger King before the bar. We're complaining about the absurdity of being towed from a parking lot that has enough empty space to hold the entire Burdette camping inventory. When I asked the Burger King manager why I was towed after having parked there for 10 plus years, her only response was, because it's the rules. I'm wondering if Hoppy would have been satisfied with that answer from a politician on his coffee clutch, which, by the way, is a great show.
Save that. That's a strong email.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
Hit a couple of points.
Gave us Burdette Camping.
Burdette Camping, unbelievable inventory.
Great use of the sponsor in the email.
Yeah.
Right? Gave a coffee clutch. That's a really good email. Save that. Good job, Mason.
Last episode, we showed Hoppy with a rake taking out the grain from the tank that was making his Kerchev-ALE. Texter writes in, first time Hoppy's held a hoe in 60 years. Then he said Hoppy might want to get a comb before January the 6th.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
I don't know. I thought he looked pretty comfortable there.
Yeah,
he didn't have to ask what to do with that thing. He just grabbed it and went right to work.
He did. Didn't take him much training. Nice work. Big Guy in Mullins writes, so Scopes is telling us that there never was a Mothman. My mind has been officially blown. I could have sworn I've seen the Mothman on the putt-putt course in Beckley over the summer. Great show. You gentlemen make my day so much better. P.S. I can't wait till the show from the beer release. And Jimmy Bell has great feet.
Showed him Saturday.
Yeah, Jimmy's terrific.
Did you refer to, he said putt-putt course there. Did you refer to that activity as putt-putt or mini golf?
We had putt-putt.
Is that a brand?
It's franchise.
Because we had putt-putt as well.
Yeah, it's franchise.
That's a brand.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Or Kleenex, as it were.
Yeah.
So mini golf is really what it is.
It's miniature golf, but putt-putt's a franchise.
I always
kind of
call
like
I'm a big guy in Mullins. Putt-putt.
Kleenex and tissue. Same difference.
I just said that. I mean, it's unbelievable
you
how
really?
little you listen. It just came out of my mouth.
Yeah, I know it did. Anyway, so on here at our putt-putt course, they had these pop machines. And all they sold was Crush, Orange Crush, Grape Crush, Cherry Crush,
Strawberry.
No, Orange, Grape, Cherry, maybe they throw in a Hires root beer. So what you'd get so fired up, like you would put your money in because on select bottles, they would take a rubber band and wrap a free 18-hole ticket around the neck of the bottle. So like you would go by and that pop would come out. Oh, I got one. Yeah, awesome.
That's a good one. Only sold Crush?
Mm-hmm. Crush machines.
Did you have a lot of Crush in the store?
Oh, my dad
carried that?
Orange,
What'd you go to? Grape?
More of an orange probably. Then I'm a connoisseur of root beers. I like the root beer. Hires root beer was really good.
Orange is the favorite. That's a minus price. Plus price on grape. Big plus price on strawberry. I always like strawberry.
Yeah, we had cherry. Yeah. Hey, three guys, I want to say thank you for bringing the comforts of West Virginia to me via YouTube. I frequently miss the half of my life I spent in Morgantown. I worked up here in Moon and Findlay townships outside of Pittsburgh for a year while I was still living in Morgantown. Then I moved up here. I underestimated the feeling I would have while residing in this area, that this is truly enemy territory. Not just because I'm surrounded by fans who dine at the local sewage treatment facility, but also many of the people, most of whom share many commonalities from a daily life standpoint with W.V. residents, insult and put down our state with extreme hypocrisy. I got a coworker who anytime he tells a story involving the Mountain State says things like, they should go back to wherever holler they crawled out of before looking at me and saying, no offense. This is while he sits there in the office wearing jogging pants, a barbecue-stained hoodie, and a beard that has pieces of last week's Permani sandwich in it. Just like when some people I know say, with all due respect, you know his sincerity is the equivalent of the Big 12 office when they publicly apologize for botching a targeting call. Have they ever done that, considering they always get it wrong? But watching your show truly gets me in the Mountaineer spirit, the same as watching Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye in White Christmas gets me in the Christmas spirit. Seeing the nation's best political affairs program host, who also has a Hoppy-ALE on the way, sit on it, Pete Potsy Thamel, the best sports marketing AD ever, who apparently had to overcome miniature blimpophobia at the Coliseum.
Thank you.
The best sportscaster to ever put on a headset and cover a game, who is so beloved by all who bleed gold and blue, including this texter, talk about everything under the sun. It's truly a special weekly routine, so thank you for what you do and keep on going, Kevin in Kaiser. P.S. I never knew how much I needed more Mothman content in my life than during the most recent episode. More of that, please. Tony may have blown the lid off of the case. I'm looking forward to 5 years from now when segments of the last episode are featured in a Netflix documentary about the mysterious creature, or so we thought. P.P.S. I work at the Pittsburgh airport. As a result, I met New Brighton and PA native and current Big Ten and former Big 12 referee Reggie Smith, one of the nicest guys I've ever met, who earnestly said, I miss getting to work games in Morgantown. They always treated us so well there. He gave me some great stories about Dana and Neil, and also an in-depth breakdown of an important penalty call in this year's Maryland-Purdue game in College Park. In my opinion, he was one of the better Big 12 officials, and I miss his presence in this conference. Yeah. So Reggie used to work Big 12. Now he's Big 10, but he still worked here all summer. When we had all the scrimmages in August and stuff, his guys always came in and did it. Texter, hey, three guys, I just finished the Mothman episode.
We mistitled that one. That clearly should have been Mothman Revealed.
How
totally
does it
that.
happen that like we just talk about one thing and then people say that's the X episode?
He just finished the Mothman episode. It's pretty good.
Great as always. I love the way the shows never seem to have a direction. Keeps it fun. Anyway, I wanted to comment on the men's basketball team. Seems we got enough shooters this year that if someone gets cold, we can still score. It gives me hope for deep runs in the conference and NCAA tournament. What do you think? Thanks as always, Jim in Preston County. I keep saying I think they got a chance. TBA, they got a chance. They have a chance. We'll see. Texter, you guys should reach out to Mars and Hershey for sponsorship with a talk of the holiday Reese's shapes and the big bag of peanut M&Ms over the past good episodes. My desk at home is full of both. Hearing it on the podcast does a better job in selling more Reese's than the NCAA tournament does.
We've always said we could move product here. I wish Kerchev-ALE was here to hear about the shapes. He still doesn't believe me about the shapes. Glad there's some backup there.
Nate in the
Have you had the shapes? You never really comment on the shapes. You never really indulge in the shapes. You know what I'm talking about?
They're different
Yeah, different sizes. Yeah, and different shapes. Like Easter eggs during Easter. They do Christmas trees now during
I didn't know that.
Christmas season. No, we say it's a better peanut butter to chocolate ratio.
I agree, because when someone brought one of those ones in, there was much more peanut butter in it.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Peanut butter guy, I like them.
They also like the height the verticality of the Reese Cup, the normal, I've seen some where they were like really they double the thing up, like they inject it with like steroids.
That's been new the last couple of years, the big ones.
That's a big.
Those are excellent as well.
That's a heavy bite. That's a heavy eat.
Yeah.
That's a heavy. You get done with one of those, you got to have some liquid around.
It's big. I'm still a shape guy. Shapes are the best.
3 guys, as the anticipation of the early signing day approaches, my Twitter thread has been full of posts from recruiting thanking Neil and company for making bachelorette-style hometown visits.
Very good.
For all we hear about Rodney Gallagher, who are some of the other possible likely commits that we should be just as excited about? Thanks, Nate in the Kanawha Valley.
We'll have to go to our Sportsline recruiting segments for that.
Yeah. I'll be, I try to be transparent and honest. Like, I know Rodney Gallagher, and I know a few of these other ones. I never get excited until they're actually signed, and then a little excited. And then I don't get real excited until they're on the field a little bit more. And then I don't get really, really excited till I know they're going to be really good players. That's my evolution of a recruit. Because, why? Because through the years, I have had more disappointment. It's like girlfriend breakups, right? How many times have we sat here and talked about this kid, and then like signing day, they go, pfft. Or they come here and they're, pfft. I mean, trust me, it's the lifeblood. It's the lifeblood. But you don't know what you're going to get, right? You don't know what you're going to get. Here's the deal, man. JT Daniels. Like, what we thought and what it turned out to be were completely different. And that's from the middle of the season. Like in October, early in October, we thought, okay. And then see how that ended? So I don't spend a ton on it.
They might have a couple receivers in here, though.
Yes.
They might have a couple
this
receivers.
is a big-time class, but again, on paper, it's a big-time class. But I don't do anything anymore until I actually see them. Then I get excited.
But for Nate,
for example, case study, I'm the first guy that said Da'Keil Shorts was going to be a great player. And so
you weren't the first.
Because I saw him and I came in and I told the senator, I said, he's going to be special.
See, I don't remember it that way. I remember it coming in and you saying, I had a coach tell me Da'Keil Shorts is going to be really good. And then we go on the air and you say, you know who I think is going to be really good? Da'Keil Shorts.
That's right.
I will say this to Nate, though. In the coming 9 days till signing day? Tune into Sportsline if you would. It's available in a podcast version as well. We'll do heavy recruiting coming up.
Oh, yeah.
We'll dive into that.
You think Hunter will give us a standard line? Yeah. Pretty good player. 4.4, 4.5, 40.
Not only do you do an unfair impersonation of him, I've been doing this like 12 years now. I've never heard him say that.
Pretty good player. You've never heard him say pretty good player?
Well, maybe I've heard that. I've never heard the 4.4, 4.5. I think you made that up.
Pastor Jay from Charleston. I love the show. I really miss the old MSN days, and this seems like one last snippet that's still alive from then. I used to work in retail management, and one of my jobs was at the old Mountaineer Mall, working for Irv Schetzner at Montgomery Ward.
That's 2 in 2 weeks for Wards.
I know Irv. I got to meet Jack Fleming one day, and I was on cloud 9 for a week. I love the Mountaineers, and I hope we are around for episode 800. God bless you guys, Pastor Jay in Charleston.
No chance to make 800, but thank you, Pastor Jay.
Greg in Catlettsburg, 3 questions. Quarterback for 23 season. I think Green has made significant strides. Would love to see him in a permanent role unless Nico amazingly usurps him. And I'm not really for bringing in a season transfer, although I do understand Neil is going to be in the win now mode. What do you guys say? Do you need another quarterback? At this point, the number of portal guys for West Virginia down considerably compared to last year. For the conference as a whole, has that number also skewed or similar compared to last year? That's a good question. We'll get that. I have to tune into Sportsline, but we'll get that. Basketball, because I'm too lazy to look. How many different game scoring leaders have there been so far this season, and how much has this exceeded your expectations? So it would probably be better if we would have read these questions before, because he's asking specific information. I can probably find the basketball one. Bonus. As for NIL offers, if the money to acquire a specific athlete is more than we can give from the collective, could we offer the player some land?
That's excellent. That's really strong.
Have a blessed day.
Now, of course, the athlete would just have to pay the taxes on the land. You could probably get the land deed over to him, but he'd have to pay the taxes each year. So maybe the collective would have enough to cover the taxes for him, but maybe not the full land purchase.
You know the other part of this whole land thing that we haven't brought up yet? The other piece of so-and-so, yeah, we got land here. My uncle's got land. My grandfather had land. The person next door wants to buy our land, but we're not selling to him. They said before he died, well, don't sell the land to him. We got that, all that. You know who haven't even touched on yet? Who's got the surface rights? The surface rights are also, yeah, we had the land, but we still got the surface rights. Excuse me? Yeah, we sold it, but we still got the surface mining rights. That's another big one too. That's always like the second part of the conversation. You got that land in Randolph? Nah, Dad sold it, but we kept the mining rights.
That would just be awesome if, we're seeing a lot of more Country Roads Trust videos now. I'm anxiously now awaiting one where they pop out there and they promote the Country Roads Trust is happy to have brought on board this receiver, and his deal is with land in Mercer County. Like, that'll be awesome when that happens.
He got 120 acres in Doddridge County, and he got the mining rights. Gas for everybody. Sean in Florida writes, I was going to send a text about basketball, but then Tony just casually mentions that he solved the Mothman mystery. I still have so many questions. Why did he wait until episode 424 to bring it up?
Good question.
Why did the person of interest confide in Tony, of all people?
Good question.
How long has he known about this? Not nearly enough time was spent on the topic. I'm sure listeners like myself would love to hear the full story. And maybe this can be a new segment for the show where Tony can solve other mysteries, such as where's Bigfoot, the truth behind UFOs, and did shots really come from the grassy knoll? Love the show, and my dad owned land near Canaan Valley.
Of course he did.
P.S. Once Kerchev-ALE is released, can we change Hoppy's nicknames from Subs to Suds? Sean in Florida.
That was a good one, Sean. Is this going to have to be a separate just episode? Mothman revealed in depth?
So when I saw that people were like bringing up this Mothman thing, which I just mentioned innocently, I didn't think it was going to start this whole deal. I did go into my emails because, as you know, I got a lot of emails that I don't.
Oh, you think? 12,600 unread.
No, on my
what's
phone.
The number? I'm under?
Under.
You have more than 12,600 unread emails.
Keep going.
Good Lord, dude.
Keep going.
15?
Keep going.
18?
Keep going.
24?
Keep going.
30?
Keep going.
46,000.
Under. I've got 39,192 emails.
What is wrong with you?
267
so not
texts.
Only doesn't
478 phone calls.
Doesn't it bother you?
No, I don't care.
Those numbers staring at you don't bother you?
Don't care. Don't care.
How many emails?
39,192.
Well, no wonder you can't read the Twitter messages to this show. You can't get to your emails for the last 13 years.
But I thought, here's my problem. I went and I started to look. I wanted to find that stuff because there's a guy. So we followed up on this. We followed up on this. We sent a guy down there.
So like try and do a story on this.
Yeah. And so I need to find him. He's in town.
Did you come across this accidentally?
No.
Like you're at an event?
Yes, I'm at the Greenbrier.
And somebody just said, hey, dude.
I'm at the Greenbrier. I'm at the WVU Cancer Gala. It was the Friday night before the event. They have a cocktail thing, right? So I'm just like sitting there in that ballroom, da-da-da-da-da, people, just talking, whatever. Guy comes up to me and just starts talking to me. And, he's, we're just talking, where are you from? And he said, like, Pleasants County. And I said, oh, Mothman. Man, like you find the one thing Pleasants County, Mothman, big blacks, Point Pleasant. And he goes, yeah. He goes, you know about the Mothman? Yeah. So it was kind of a conversation like that. And then he said.
And then it took a turn.
Yeah. And then he goes like, well, that was me. And I went, excuse me. Excuse me.
Was it just the two of you?
There was but a lot of people. I was in a busy room. I mean, it's a cocktail thing, and busy room. And I said, like, you know what? Like what? He goes, yeah. He said, and he explained it to me. So, like, when people are BSing you, you can just tell BS. But like, this wasn't that. This was like the guy was standing there with his wife, and gave me the deal. And so I talked to him, and I called him, and I looked up on my phone today because I thought I might have put him in my contacts under
Mothman.
I literally went to my contacts today and put Mothman.
But you didn't.
I don't have it, but there's a way I can get it. And so I talked to him on the phone after, when I came back to work. Talked to him on the phone, and it was kind of like I said last episode that like he didn't want to make it a big thing because basically it takes all of the air out of everything that goes on there with all the events that they have and all the things that they generate economically for that area. So yeah. So it is. You remember Kendall that used to work here?
Yeah.
Appalachian Murder Mysteries?
Yeah.
We sent him down there. He gave me a thing. He prepared I got a thing somewhere. I'm full of information that he got all of the info on. Yeah. Anyway. So there you go, Sean. That's all you ever wanted.
Well, I think the point to all this is you misnamed last week's episode.
Apparently. Randy from State College writes, 2 thoughts. The first is Hugs. Is it my imagination, or does he seem really comfortable with this team? I say this because he's not so fiery and boisterous with his players during the game. When he does lose his mind, more often than not, he's ticked off at the refs, not his team. I'm not saying the players don't occasionally do some things wrong. They do, but instead of constantly yelling from the sideline, he instead talks to them during a break in play or as they come off of the court. Am I crazy, or do you sense this as well? So, a couple of things here, Randy. I do think he's very comfortable with this team. I do think he truly likes this team. I do think that he is using a much shorter hook in making moves in game. There have been times where we all know that if a player did one thing wrong, it wasn't a matter of if he's going to come out. It was like, when's the next dead ball? They're out. That has changed. That has changed. And I do think the one piece that I think you're missing on is you think that he yelled a lot at his players, like during play, in game. Nah. I mean, almost never. And obviously I'm sitting right there. Almost never in game. Like he'll give them do this or that. But now timeouts, now he'd light you up. So I do think he likes this team a lot, and they're giving him what he asks, and that's effort. As long as you give him effort, he's okay. He knows there's going to be mistakes. If you don't give effort, that's when he goes berserkio. And these guys give effort. So I think he's good with them. Next one. The second thought is about a player. I hate to single out one guy because I really like this team, not just the starters, but 9 or 10 deep. They all play hard unselfishly, seem to have bought into the way Hugs wants them to play. I could easily single out Stevenson, Mitchell, Keedy, Emmett, Bell, or Wagee, but I want to give some love to Joe Toussaint. He's really bought into his role, and as a result, makes us better. I watched him play at Iowa, and he was always gave good effort, but coming to West Virginia, where there is more in-your-face man-to-man, has really allowed to show him his grit. Combine that tenacity with his newfound ability to score. What a great addition. Doesn't seem to have an off night. If he keeps it up, he could be a 6th Man of the Year award. Thoughts? Yeah, I think we did earlier, right? We gave a lot of love to Joe. Like him a lot. A lot. Texter. My hopes of landing a ticket to the Kerchev-ALE debut were dashed when Tony proclaimed there would be no inside deals. I thought since I produced a former Three Guys producer and current part-timer for the state's best public affairs program that I surely had an in. No such luck. It's got to be fair. No inside deals. My internet service here on the Halleck Road is borderline better than a courier pigeon. I would have had a better chance of landing a ticket by mailing a check into the Postal Service. Fingers crossed. Keep it up, gentlemen. Love your work. Mark in Morgantown, P1 of the Halleck Road.
Thank you.
Let me just, a couple of things, just to clear the air. Here. Because we did have a hiccup. So, obviously, not everyone got tickets, and so there were people that were unhappy. That's unfortunate, but it's not a total surprise. Person said, I didn't see the buy button until 9:03. We're supposed to go on sale at 9, yes. So we activated the button at 9. By the time it cashed through and went on live, it was 9:03, but, I mean, it didn't stop anyone from getting tickets. No one got them any earlier than 9:03. It just appeared at 9:03. There was a slight delay when we hit publish. A person said, really sold out right away? Yes, that's what happened. So the person that was overseeing this, they could see the orders in the queue starting when they went hot live, but they had to be completed. Someone said, scam. You had a few people buy all of the tickets to resell.
They said what?
They said, you had a few people buy all of the tickets to resell. No, here's the reality of it. Here's the breakdown. People like stats. You know, you give stats.
Yeah, you got analytics.
So we had, obviously, 50 tickets sold. We had a total of 30 transactions. The largest one person bought 4 tickets. I'll give you the exact read. One person bought 4 tickets. And 13 people bought singles. So that's 17. And the rest were all 2-ticket purchases. However the math works out on that thing. But that's what that was. So, no, we were really happy because, remember, we talked about a bunch of people buying like a bunch and trying to, but that's what it was. The vast majority were transactions for 2 and 1. And the biggest, one person bought 4. No one bought more than that. Person wrote in and said, this was a Christmas present and now it won't happen. I apologize about that, but we said from the very beginning that there was only going to be 50 and it's first come, first served. We said this is going to be proof of concept, so we're learning as we go. And what we do know now is that we have something in place. We understand how it works. As the weather gets warmer, obviously, we're going to look into making this thing happen at other places. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
And thank you to everybody that ordered and got in.
Oh,
appreciate that. Looking forward to seeing you.
Texter says, I have 8 pairs of shoes, but just 1 pair of sneakers. Am I a shoe head and not a sneaker head? I don't think you're either. I think you're not a head one way or the other. You're just normal. John from Oklahoma City, hoping you 3 clowns had a great weekend. 2 quick questions. Do you think portal additions will be determined by signing day? Do you intend to stream, delayed, of course, the unveiling of the Kerchev-ALE festivities? Not all the portal signings will be done by signing day, and we're discussing whether or not to record the event and then post it later. TBA. I have a meeting this afternoon with Luke Darnell, world champion barbecuer, is coming into town.
Talk a little more about the menu.
Yep. Texter, gentlemen, let me clarify my text from Friday's episode. I was indeed complimenting you for your insightful and level-headed analysis. Here's the backstory. When the pandemic began, I started to search for podcasts. I rediscovered 3 guys. At the same time, I sampled other WVU podcasts, YouTube shows, etc. 3 guys was head and shoulders above the rest. Now, 140 episodes later, nothing has changed my opinion. Finally,
Thank you.
Let me add that I took my driving test in a 1969 Chevy Impala station wagon, which was only a few feet shorter and slightly more maneuverable than the USS Missouri.
I feel you.
And my first car was a pea yellow and Bondo-colored Opel Kadett, only slightly larger and more powerful than the console stereo in my parents' living room. CL from Clarksburg. The tickets went fast. I tried at 9:28, and they were gone with the wind.
He's in response to, we talked about cars in the last episode. I said I learned to drive on a nondescript Chevy Chevette stick.
Yeah.
My other option that I would sometimes lobby for so I didn't have to drive the stick, although I'm glad my dad forced me to drive the stick, learned how to do it, was similar, a giant Chevy station wagon. Giant.
Big.
I mean, I think I could drive a semi and or the station wagon. I wish,
you had your CDL?
I wish pictures were easier to get back then, because can you imagine how ridiculous I looked at 14? I weighed about 112 pounds, driving a 4,000-foot brown-paneled station wagon through the streets of West Des Moines. Can you imagine how that looked?
And you thought you were cool.
I thought that was great. I asked to drive that so I didn't have to drive the stick. Yep. And the Chevette was about this big, if you're watching on TV.
Yeah.
It was like a Matchbox car.
I know.
That thing was like, seriously, like a semi.
Yep.
You know, one of those big steering wheels, you got to get both hands over there.
Station wagons are funny, aren't they?
How about parallel parking that thing?
Just think of the concept of the station wagon. Think about that for a while. Think about the station wagons are like every once or twice a year, wherever you might be, you'll see a station wagon, and you just frickin' stop dead and go like, "Would you look at that thing?" And, it's a guy, and he's just driving a station wagon. They're hilarious. The whole concept.
They're so big. The way back, because if you had a station wagon, the way back is the thing. And that was pre-seatbelt. Like, you didn't have seatbelt. You're in that back area.
You're talking about the back that faces the back of the window.
The way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes had a seat that faced the wrong way. Other times didn't. Was just like an open area. Could have put an above-ground pool back there in some of them. Or at very least a hot tub.
No,
I loved the way back.
No seatbelts, just climbed over seats progress.
Climbed over. Put maybe a blanket and pillow back there.
Oh, big sleeping.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, listen, we're going on vacation. You kids are in the back, and you just laid that out there. It's like one of those things, that guy that took the train from like Connellsville.
That's where the way back was.
That was like the roomette. That's what that was.
We'd go to
had a sink back there.
Hot air balloon races in Indianola, Iowa every year.
Yeah.
That's where the Hot Air Balloon Museum is.
Sure.
By the way, I'm sure you knew that. So it was like a 30-minute drive. That was you have to get up real early because you want to get there for sunrise when they put them up.
Golden
so I'd
hour.
have to get out when I was really little, and that was always be in the back there, like sleeping bags,
Crunched
blankets,
out.
couple pillows. You could have driven me to Florida in that thing. I was giddy. Like, let's get in the way back. I'm going to sleep. Way back. So I'm with CL on the giant Chevy station wagon.
That brings me.
Hello.
Spring break. Freshman or sophomore year spring break, we get a full, the vans, right? The vans.
Yes.
Took every seat out of the van. This is I think about this right now, and it's just like stupid crazy.
Took all the seats out.
Except for the passenger and the driver. Everything else came out.
Leave the carpet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all in there.
Yeah.
And then just loaded it with bean bags. Had 8 guys in there. Everyone just laid down in a beanbag.
No seatbelts, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
This was so we left on a Friday, like 4 in the morning, something. My boy's gone out Thursday. One guy, Mark. He comes back. He's not ready. He's cooked. He's cooked, but he's coming with us. And it's time to go. And he's cooked. So 2 guys, where's his bag? He packed his bag. Bring him into the van, put him into a beanbag. Just laid him there. He has no idea what's going on. We take off. So that's like near Rochester, New York. My man does not wake up until Bucknell University.
In the beanbag in the
beanbag. He brings his head up over the window like, dude, we're at Bucknell. We're driving by Bucknell. So stupid. JR in Cumberland writes, sold out in less than 3 minutes. Heartbreak at my home. You need a venue like Hugs' Fish Fry to handle the demand for tickets. If anyone has an extra ticket they can't use, please feel free to contact me, JR in Cumberland. Texter, P1 Jennings in the Kanawha Valley. Great to see you at the basketball game Saturday. Appreciate both of you taking a few minutes to talk. I'll be back Sunday for the next home game and my birthday. I'll definitely stop by and say hello after the game. That's Jennings who sent us those peanut M&Ms.
I thanked him in person on Saturday when I saw him.
By the way, we cursed those M&Ms before we went on the air because we hammered those for about 20 minutes before we went on. I got sugar attack.
Thanks, Jennings.
Mitch and Buchanan, as I see the tickets sold out in approximately an hour, I want to say congratulations. I'm bummed. I was not able to work this out this time around, so I'm hopeful that maybe you plan another event in the not-too-distant future. There are so many potential beer names that you could use that we could do this numerous times a year. I just ask that next time you check with me on the date. Absolutely. Looking forward to the aftermath of this launch and the stories that will come. I'm sending a picture for motivation. As I was walking through Kroger's the other day, I saw this and thought about the possibilities of a Hoppy to the Third Power 3-beer sampler pack. There it is. Looks like they have Cairo Fresh Torpedo. I will tell you this beer is not going to be hoppy tasting. It's not going to you're not going to do the bitter beer baby face after you drink Hoppy's beer. As we said, it's going to be
smooth and nice and
it's
easy
going to be
drink,
smooth
right?
and nice. It's not going to be stupid. Don't get me wrong. I mean, people like that taste. I'm not here to Hoppy shame you. I'm just saying we're trying to get something that people will, a more of a broader base will like. Everyone's got their different flavors. He says, out of curiosity, what is the plan for the $12,500 you all made in just 1 hour? Or is that how you're paying Tyler County Consolidated John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt Kennedy's salary? So, here's the deal, and people are wondering why was the ticket price the ticket price? Because there was a ton of, here's the issues. We have a small facility, max 50, right? That's one. Two, they had to have the beer made. Three, you're bringing in Luke Darnell for barbecue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, as we said, proof of concept, we didn't know if we were going to sell 3 tickets, but we had to have the beer made. And we didn't know if we're going to sell 3 tickets, and we had to get Luke coordinated. And so there was there's expense to this, plus the gear that people are going to get in the swag, they're going to get in all that other kind of stuff. So will we lose money on doing this? No, we're not going to lose money. Keep in mind, this is not a public radio venture. We are capitalists. Okay? Let's not a BS anybody at all. We are here to make money. We are here to make money. Now, the podcast is free for you. Thank you very much for listening. But we are here to, our business, the company that owns us, we're here to generate dollars. So that's what we're here to do. Monetize. And we're glad that we can do it with you and have fun at the same time. Right?
Yep, correct.
That's how the whole thing works. Hey, Taylor, there was one other shirt that I sent to you. There's a picture of it. Look at this one. I didn't show you that one. Yeah, but there are clowns. 3 guys. So there's someone out there making T-shirts. Thank you very much.
That's an actual shirt that's on the market?
I don't know. The guy sent it to me. That looks like a model, though, doesn't it?
Just like an idea.
That's like a perfect way that neck is cut there and those arms are cut. So that's all good. Okay, so here's what I know. Here's what I know about our next show. We will have another one, and it will be this week.
So as we always say, follow/subscribe, whatever terminology your platform uses, because then once it's out, then you'll be notified of that. We're just not quite sure.
Yes, we're definitely going to give you another show this week. Not sure exactly when. Trying to work on a guest, a football-related guest as well, since we do have this span of time between the next basketball game. So subscribe if you haven't, whether it's on YouTube's or wherever it is that you get your regular podcast. Amazon pushing those podcasts heavy. Spotify pushing them. Apple, of course, obviously pushing them. So subscribe. You'll never miss.
That's probably good advice moving forward, too, because remember, the schedule gets a little difficult as we move through basketball season.
Yeah, we'll do
Just
our best.
Travel arrangements, games coming up on different days. So
it'll be
we'll do our best to stay as consistent as we possibly can.
Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. Brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. That's burdettcamping.com, the warranty that lasts forever. For our producer, Tyler County, Pleasance County, Monroe County, Berkeley County, Hancock County, Monongalia County, Preston, Marion, Taylor.
Don't do it. I'm not.
Tucker,
I'm not joining it.
Doddridge, Wood, Wirt. Give it a Wirt. Wirt's very, very underused county. They need more love.
They do need.
They need more love. Wirt needs more love. Wirt, we love you. All right, we're out. See ya later this week.